So
What a
many,
load of
John thought that she
shit.
made exactly the points that Black Lives Matter is trying to make. Do you think she's off the mark?
No, I think that she's saying something true, but she's leaving something out. Elizabeth Warren knows good and well that another problem that all of us must face is that too many black men kill too many other black men in the same communities, and that they live under exactly that threat. She knows that, but she's in a position where she feels that she's not supposed to say it because what she thinks is most important, as the politician that she is to show that she isn't racist. She's not unique in that, but she knows deep down that she's only telling half of the truth, and she knows very much that what she's talking about is not the main problem in those communities. It's time for us, unfortunately. You know, if I were Elizabeth Warren, I would do the same thing. I get it. She's in a position. I can imagine what it would be like to be white in 2015 and making public statements. We have to take the responsibility for telling the truth, which is that it's both the cops, but that we also have to have a national effort where we start working on the black-on-black crime within these communities too. That's real civil rights work today.
You talk about performance versus action, confuses performance with action. You said the problem is not an America blind to racism, or even an America that thinks racism is solely the N-word, cross burnings, and housing covenants. The problem is, I hate to say, a progressive ideology on race that confuses performance with action. She's a progressive. Is that what, are you talking about that with?
She's doing exactly that. It's a performance in that she is saying, I am not a racist. I agree with the concerns that you are expressing. I will pretend to think that those are the main concerns facing black communities. Therefore, you see I'm not racist. That's a performance, but that isn't action. If she were genuinely interested, and this isn't just her, she's a stand-in for a phenomenon. If she were genuinely interested in these communities, she would say that really what's going on in terms of day-to-day life is more the black-on-black crime, and that problem deserves at least as much attention, even though that would mean turning away from racism for that part of the problem.
You talked about people finessing words. You said elsewhere another finessing is to call the attention to stop the violence marches in black communities while turning a blind eye to the fact that
Indignation about cop murders is so vastly hotter and more sustained. Or
one is to say that racism is why black kids kill other black kids. The implication is this will only stop when racism is gone. What a creative prognosis, you say.
See, all those things don't make sense, but you're supposed to pretend that they do. So, for example,
it sounds better in a sentence than when you actually try to explain it.
Exactly. And so, for example, say that the reason that boys are killing each other over sneakers is because they had trouble finding a job. And we're trained to think that that makes sense if it's an inner-city black boy. Now, imagine a white kid from Scarsdale doing the same thing. Notice that you can't. We're not describing human beings. These explanations are oversimplified. They're just designed to shore up the idea that everything that ails black people is about something white people are doing wrong, which is not true in 2015.
Okay, so then what is the solution? You would suggest that Black Lives Matter and other groups do what then?
It's very simple. This business of saying, well, look, there's Stop the Violence marches. It's a first step, but there isn't a national movement. Nobody is as upset about the black-on-black crime as they are about the one Michael Slager, the one Darren Wilson. We need a movement.
You propose it can be.
Oh, yeah. For example, you look at an old movie in 1950, and a woman might say to her husband, you smoke too much. There were people saying that all the time. There was no movement. People were smoking themselves to death. A movement coalesced so that people started smoking much less. Stop the Violence needs to become a national effort. We need to start thinking of it as strange if a community is committing more effort to smoking out the kinds of people who killed Freddie Gray rather than the kinds of people who are killing one another too. The idea that you would only focus on the white cops should seem strange. The fierceness of the Black Lives Matter movement, and I do admire it, and I've said it in print, we need to have that focused also on figuring something out with the cops so that nationwide we can get this minority of black men from killing one another all the time. There's no reason that couldn't happen. We're just not as interested because we think that what we're supposed to be fighting is what Darren Wilson has in his heart. But that's not the main thing hurting black communities now. That's what we should focus on. That's what activism is supposed to be in 2015.
John McWhorter, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Don.
When we come right back, American life as you have never seen it before. Lisa Ling is here, I should say, with her stories that you won't see anywhere else.